Okay, I'll call the monthly board meeting with Shell Rock River Watershed District to order. Do roll call.
Manager DeBoer,
Here.
Manager Pistorius,
Here.
Manager Delter,
Here.
Manager Pasuski.
Here. Next item is a consent agenda. For a motion to approve consent agenda. So moved. Second. Discussion. Favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carry. And approval for the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I have one addition to the agenda under administrative items. Item G, I want to talk to the board about establishing a building committee.
Okay.
I'll second that.
No, somebody. Oh, you made it. Now I need a second.
So
All right. Any discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Public forum. So if we don't have anybody. Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is item A, motion to accept Scott Christensen's resignation letter. Scott turned in a resignation letter effective July 1st. So just want to take board action on accepting Scott Christensen's letter of resignation. Scott did take another job with the city of Lake Mills, and that is why he resigned from the district.
So make that motion.
There we go. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item B is a motion to accept the Personnel Committee's recommendations. You can see in your handouts, we have the Personnel Committee meeting minutes. If you look at the requirements, or actually the recommendations, it was the administrator's recommendation to increase the education and outreach coordinator and administrative assistant with a 2% increase, the project and program manager with a 5% increase, the financial tech with a 2% increase, the technical specialist, which would have been Scott's, with a 0% increase. They also reminded the personnel committee that the district has a highly skilled and hardworking and dedicated staff. The committee also reviewed my performance review and recommended a 2% increase. So a total increase in the district's base wages, if approved by the board, would be $8,941.67.
Make that motion.
Second. Any discussion?
I think as a personnel committee, we did go over everything with Andy, and everything seemed to be in place and proper, and went by the rules and period that we voted on years ago, and everything fell right into place. So
Okay,
be good.
any other discussion?
They looked at variables for similar jobs other places, right?
We're still under that.
Shoulders.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item C is a motion to approve the gravel lease. So basically, the district has basically two courses of action here. This was a gravel lease for the Nelson property. This was a property that was given to the district when we purchased the Headwaters property. If you remember earlier or late last year, we put up the house, the buildings, the two garages up for sale. And all of them sold except for the house. So now was time to look at the gravel material that was underneath the property, which is right next to Euland's gravel lease or property Euland's owns, and right next to the gravel lease that they used to have with the Headwaters property that was expired last year. This lease was for roughly 180 ton of sand. One of the aspects that Euland's, who was the only bidder, would have to do is remove any remaining structures out on the site, as well as putting it back and restoring it once they are done. This lease is not to exceed 5 years or up to 180 ton, again, as I said previously. So again, Euland's was the only bidder. Their bid was for 81,000. We had no other bidders, so the board's decision is to, one, accept Euland's bid of 81,000, or two, to put it back out for a bid and see if we can't get a few more people interested. I will say it is pretty much in the heart of Euland's area. So I don't know if anybody else wants to touch it because of that. We did have other people look at it. I believe we had 4 other companies that requested the bid specs. But again, Euland's was the only one to give us a bid.
What's the quantity? You said 180 tons.
180 tons, yep.
Let's get a motion and we can have discussion.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
180 tons is contract truck.
Is there a second?
100,
Second, there we go. Now we have discussion.
180,000 tons.
1,000. Oh,
Yeah.
this stuff.
Any other discussion?
Well, there again, the reason I think that no one else wanted to touch it is there again, Luke's right next to it. And the expense of, they've got to take all those trees down, take that house down. There's quite an expense right there. So I can see why nobody out of town wanted to do with it. And so I think basically we've got a decent price.
Agree. Andy, you're happy with the price?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, if you look at the prices with all the other work that has to be done, removal of the house, removal of the sewer, removal or sealing the well, plus all of the other debris out there. I believe in the lease agreement, they have 1 year to get rid of all that stuff. So it's a pretty tight timeline on that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair price.
With the price of diesel fuel and trucking and wages and stuff, it's all went up quite a bit in the last couple of years.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. Item D is the excess clay material price. We've had this excess clay material for sale for probably a little over a year now. We are getting a lot of feedback from the contractors that it is a little steep for a price. So just a note to the board, I'll probably be looking at knocking that price down. I believe right now we have it right around $45 a truckload. I'll probably be knocking that down to about $35 a truckload, just because we have so much out of there. It's a large quantity that we have that is excess. So just trying to find a way to use that up or sell it and get it off site. Item E is a update on the confined disposal facility. This would be the lawsuit that we have with Randball and Bite. As you know, we were going to have remediation in June. However, that remediation got canceled. So the next meeting for the remediation has been scheduled for September 27th. Again, that is the soonest we could get in with the gentleman that is doing the remediation. So for those who were on that committee that we're going to attend the first remediation, if you could try to keep those dates open. I know, Gary, for you, it might be tough. It's getting close to harvesting beans. So hopefully we can get a copy up to the cities for the remediation. Item F is a legislative update. Again, there's been no movement with a special session or with moving forward with a special session to have a bonding bill. So again, it looks like that is pretty much dead in the water. So again, we'll have to start ramping up for that in 2023. And have been talking with Judy, our legislative assistant, to work on somewhat of a timeline and scope of work for what we need to do in 2023 to move forward with the bonding bill for the Fountain Lake Restoration Project. And then item G, this is the item we added, a building committee. As you can see, we've suffered some pretty extensive damage. We also had some pretty extensive damage on our personal property, such as computers, monitors, a lot of the electronics that were underwater. We are working with our insurance agent as we speak. As of right now, they are saying that it's uninsurable because of the flash flood, which don't make sense to me, but that's why we're working with our agent and also working with our insurer, which is the League of Minnesota Cities, and trying to see if we can get any of that stuff paid for through an insurance claim. However, I've also been working with Rich Hall up at the county. They are this morning, I believe, making a declaration, emergency declaration, at least within the state of Minnesota. So we did give him an estimate and overview of all the stuff that we had damaged. So that's kind of where we're at as far as claims and losses for the district. Of course, the building itself, we do not own. So we are working with the owner's insurance to do the cleanup. And as you see it here, there's quite a bit more cleanup to do. And then we'll also have to go into the restoration, which could be a month, 2 months out. So that's why I want to potentially develop a committee for looking at possible solutions through that time period. So, Mr. Chair, if there's no other questions, that's all I have.
Okay. Courtney.
All right, well, I really don't have anything pressing, so I can just give some project updates. So I'll kind of go through some of the most recent. First would be the Vandergrift Wetland Restoration that was completed, located at the intersection of Highway 13 and 90. The contractor that was awarded the work was Freeborn Construction. They completed everything because we did have a June 30th deadline as a result of our grant. They did meet that. So all work was completed. Everything went relatively well. There was a few change orders, and that was a request of the district. The reason why is when we got out in the field, we realized the elevations were a little off. And so we wanted to actually increase our stop block structures so that we had the ability to hold back more water. So there was a small change order so that we could increase the water that we could store. So all in all, the project went well, and that is completed. Another restoration or project that was completed is we got seeding done on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife as well as our OR property. So that's the project that we're referring to as the IC&E. We had purchased the seed last year, and then we were working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to get that seeded. So that was just completed as well. And that had that same June 30th deadline. So all projects for our phase 6, the SAM's funding cycle are completed. And Carmen and I will be working on closing out that grant here as soon as bills are paid and we can get that completed. Also touching on the IC&E project, we is U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Shell Rock River Watershed submitted the petition to Freeborn County for the reroute of county tile. This county tile is going to be rerouted with the expense of, at our expense, the watersheds district will be paying for it. However, future maintenance, hopefully there won't be some for 50 some years, being it's a brand new tile, will be assessed on the tile owners, but the initial cost is gonna be paid by us. That's a result of the wetland restorations that are gonna be taking place. So I just wanted to let board managers know that we did submit the petition. We are working with the county to secure easements to be able to get that in place, and then working with the engineer on finalizing plans. We do have a very good final set of plans going, or I should say they're very close to final. What we're doing is we're waiting for this petition process to go through to see if there's any small changes before we stamp them as final and bring them back to the board for approval. So. Other than that, the headwaters and AMA and stream bank sites down at the Panicum Prairie site, as well as the AMA. We did have a meeting with Minnesota Native Landscapes and the DNR last week or 2 weeks ago to go over final touch-up clearing items, seating establishment. They are having issues at the AMA site where we had our staging area. A lot of people have been breaking the lock and trying to go back there and drive back there because it's easier access to fishing. So we're working with the DNR to limit people from driving back there so that our seating can get established, but otherwise it's going good. So that's all that I have.
Okay. Any other questions? Any managers items?
As far as I know, the Lakes Association hasn't had a meeting, and relying on staff to let me know if they do schedule one.
Okay. Next board meeting is August 9th. You have anything else today? Motion to adjourn.
So move. There's there.